do any laundry alone. Okay, that's nice.
Yeah, it is. Just checking to see which cord this is plugged into. Because they need to be the same on one.
Good morning, and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Society. We are grateful to gather on this beautiful morning, both in person and online, for a time of inspiration, reflection, and connection. Whether you join us today with joy in your heart, weighted with burdens, or searching for meaningful connections, we are glad that you are here. As we begin our service, we pause to remember that each of us is sustained by the land where we make our homes and our livelihoods, land that was once dominated by tallgrass prairie. We remember that for centuries before colonization, Native peoples lived in interdependence with this land that we call home. We give thanks particularly to the Kickapoo, the Iowa, the Sauk, and Meskwaki, and the Oceti-Sakowin nations for their continued stewardship as we seek to live more sustainably with this land. I'm the Reverend Diana Smith, the minister of the Unitarian Universalist Society. I'm a somewhat tall, white woman in my mid-40s with short, curly, white, blonde, and brown hair, wearing purple glasses, a blue dress, and a stole with multicolored stars at the top and a meadow at the bottom. I'm standing in UUS's pulpit at the front of our sanctuary. My pronouns are she and her. Our sanctuary is filled with people of all ages, slightly fewer people than many Sundays. If you are at home, we are glad that you have made decisions that were right for you about the weather this morning. Through the walls of our sanctuary, the window walls, we connect to the outdoors where we can see that it is a cold, clear, bright winter day with snow on the ground. We've begun using these descriptions in our services in order to increase the accessibility of our services for people of many abilities and who are in many places. As Unitarian Universalists, love is the core value of our covenantal faith. As people of many ages, genders, races, sexual orientations, classes, abilities, and health statuses, we gather together as a radically welcoming spiritual community. During our services, we draw inspiration and meaning from thoughtful people of the past and present and use sources as diverse as poetry, nature, science, and personal experience. We covenant together to affirm and promote 7 principles, which we hold as strong values and moral guides. This congregation has endorsed the adoption of an 8th principle, which calls us to be committed to active anti-racism. This morning, as we explore what it means to be enough, we will celebrate and explore our commitment to countering oppression as we hold up the inherent worth and dignity of every person. If you're newer to this community, we invite you to learn more about Unitarian Universalism and this congregation after the service. If you're here in person, you can talk to a greeter in the atrium. And if you're online, there's a link in the chat, in the YouTube notes that will help us, that you can fill out to help us connect with you. And if you need an app or a device to help you engage with our worship services, feel free to connect to the UUS Wi-Fi. We ask everyone else to make sure you're not connected to UUS's Wi-Fi during the service. And so, let us begin our worship service with some words from the Reverend Leslie Takahashi, who writes, "Come, come whoever you are, come with your hurts, your imperfections, your places that feel raw and exposed. Come, come whoever you are, come with your strength that the world shudders to hold. Come with your wild imaginings of a better world. Come with your hopes that it seems no one wants to hear. Wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, we will make a home for you. We will build a home together. Ours is no caravan of despair. We walk together. Come, yet again, come." And so as we come together, let's join our voices in person or wherever we are. Please rise in body or spirit. As we join our voices in song, we'll be singing hymn number 298, "Wake Now My Senses." Words will be on the screen, or you can use your hymnal. Kay Winder will be leading us.
Wake Wake now my senses and hear the earth call. Feel the deep power of being in all. Keep with the web of creation your vow, giving, receiving, as love showed us how. Wake now my reason, reach out to the new. Join with each pilgrim who quests for the true. Honor the beauty and wisdom of time. Suffer thy limit and praise the sublime. Wake now, compassion, give heed to the cry. Voices of suffering fill the wide sky. Take as your neighbor, both stranger and friend, praying to the time to end. I'm lost. Wake now my conscience, with justice thy guide. Join with all people whose rights are denied. Take not for granted a privileged place. God's love embraces the whole human race. Wake now my vision of ministry clear. Brighten my pathway with radiance here. Mingle my calling with all who would share. Work toward a planet transformed by our care.
Good morning. I'm Kara Beauchamp, a worship associate and member of UUS. I am a white woman entering my late 50s with shoulder-length, curly white hair, and my pronouns are she and her. As Unitarian Universalists, we light a flame within a chalice as a symbol of sanctuary and safety, to unite us in our worship and to remind us of our ongoing search for the light of truth. Our chalice lighter this morning is Riley Kaplan. Please join me in saying our chalice lighting words as Riley lights our chalice. Life is a gift for which we are grateful. We gather in community to celebrate the wonder and mystery of this great gift. So let us now kindle the flame of our liberal religious heritage and renew our covenant of mutual love and care. Love is the doctrine, the quest for truth is our sacrament, and service is our prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, and to serve those in need. This we covenant with life and one another. Each week, we light a candle for justice and healing, to acknowledge our interdependence with the natural world and with all members of the global community, especially the most vulnerable. We light this candle so that we may not be numbed to injustice and trauma, but rather find strength, courage, and love as we work in solidarity with others for liberation, justice, and healing. Together, we create resilience and hope. Today, as we light this candle, we are particularly mindful of the ongoing toll of racism and police violence in our country, borne out recently in the death of Tyree Nichols in Memphis. As I light this candle, let's hold a time of silence to listen to our hearts and bodies, and perhaps to lift up prayers.
Good morning, everyone. Oh, that bodes well. Thank you for responding, because we're going to need to do more of that today. My name is Nick Kaplan. I'm the Director of Lifespan Religious Education here at UUS. I am a slightly shorter than average non-binary person with a fresh new undercut, and my curly hair is down. Recently here at UUS, some of our members and friends read a book called Permission to Feel. In chapter 8 of that book, the author talked about regulating emotions. Regulating emotions might sound kind of like a big deal, huh? Something that is big and might take a lot of practice or a lot of work to understand. But everybody here and at home has had practice regulating emotions since they were a little baby. Have you ever seen a baby suck its thumb? Or, yes, thank you. Or turn their head away from something that they don't like? Yes, we've seen babies do that. Those are ways that babies practice regulating emotions. The author of Permission to Feel taught us some other ways that we can regulate emotions, and I want you to try them with me today. Sometimes when we feel an unwanted feeling, an unwanted emotion coming up, we can do mindful breathing. Who's done mindful breathing before? Yes, lots of hands going up here. I imagine at home too, many of you have done some mindful breathing, nice deep breaths. Sometimes we might use forward-looking strategies or attention-shifting strategies, like self-talk. The author shares all sorts of scientific information about why positive self-talk is both hard and important. But instead of talking about it, let's try it, okay? So I'm going to say something using positive self-talk inspired by Snoop Dogg's song, Affirmations. This is a kid's song, I promise. And then I'm going to invite everyone to repeat after me, okay? So I'm going to say something first, and then all of you, I want you to say it after me, okay? Whether you're here or at home, this is an important thing to practice. So, are we ready? All right. There is no one better to be than myself. Today is going to be an amazing day. My feelings matter. I'm doing my best, and that's all I can ask. My best looks different from day to day. I don't have to be perfect to be worthy of love. I care about others. I learn from my mistakes. I am enough. Thank you all so much for that positive self-talk practice. Remember, it takes practice. No one is perfect at it, and that's okay. All right. Now I'm going to invite any children or youth or anyone who would like to join me in the RE spaces to come with me. Kay is going to lead us through our song that Alex often leads called Be Open. So if you can join me.
Be open for something. Be open to the possibilities. Be open for something wonderful to happen. Be open to the possibilities. Aye, 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 aye. Be open, aye,
This morning, Marguerite Oding is here to share more about the group receiving our 5th Sunday collection, the Healthy Kids Clinic.
Hi, I'm Marguerite Oding. I've been a member of the congregation since, I think, 1992. But I'm here today as a pediatrician and the medical director of Healthy Kids Clinics. We're a school-based clinic. We started in 2007, and we serve children in Johnson County from birth through high school graduation who are uninsured, underinsured, meaning they have high copays or deductibles that are a barrier, or children who face other significant barriers, such as lack of transportation, lack of English proficiency, parents not having time off to take kids to appointments, things like that. Many of our patients are new to the community. They've come from other states and other countries. Unfortunately, our need is very high. This year at registration in the Iowa City Community School District, 9% of children indicated that they were uninsured, which is about 3 times the national average. That's about 1,300 children this year. We offer clinic 14 hours a week. Last year we were able to serve 356 children, so that's only about 30% of the need that's out there. This fall, our visits are up 26%. We prioritize new patients to get them their required vaccines and physicals so they could get into school and begin getting settled and getting involved. But the only way we could do that was to defer preventative care for our established patients, and that's not a sustainable way to go. It's not good practice. So we have applied for some grants to hire a new clinic coordinator. Our physicians are willing to staff new clinics, but there are other expenses that go along with having new clinics. If we give more vaccines, we need more syringes, more needles, more cotton balls, more Band-Aids. We do laboratory work, screening labs on all of our patients, so those costs will be higher. We help patients, we give them over-the-counter medications, and we help with prescriptions if they can't afford their prescriptions, so those costs will increase. Our dental clinic costs will increase, and our therapy costs will increase. So I really appreciate the chance to come and tell you guys about our needs and ask for your support. Your donations will make a big difference. We believe every child deserves health care, and we don't want to turn any kids away, but that may happen if we aren't able to expand. So thank you very much. Deb Schulerman, who also works in our clinic, has some of our brochures, and I believe there's one of our solicitation letters in the back as well if people have more questions. Thank you.
I have a reading that is an excerpt from Proverbs chapter 31. The words of King Lemuel, an oracle that his mother taught him. A capable wife who can find? She is far more precious than jewels. She does him good and not harm all the days of her life. The heart of her husband trusts in her, and he will have no lack of gain. She seeks wool and flax and works with willing hands. She rises while it is still night and provides food for her household and tasks for her servant girls. She considers a field and buys it. With the fruit of her hands, she plants a vineyard. She girds herself with strength and makes her arms strong. She opens her hand to the poor and reaches out her hands to the needy. Her husband is known in the city gates, taking his seat among the elders of the land. Strength and dignity are her clothing, and she laughs at the time to come. She opens her mouth with wisdom, and the teaching of kindness is on her tongue. Her children rise up and call her happy, her husband too, and he praises her. Many women have done excellently, but you surpass them all. Charm is deceitful and beauty is vain, but a woman who loves God is to be praised. Give her a share of the fruit of her hands, and let her works praise her in the city gates.
So that's quite a list of character traits. And that's actually an abbreviated version of that passage from the Hebrew Bible. Rabbinic tradition has it that wise King Solomon wrote Proverbs when he was middle-aged to give practical advice about how to make your life journey as easy as possible given the ups and downs of life. Modern scholarship tells us that Proverbs was written and edited at a few different points in Israelite history, and that the book was likely used during schooling to help train young men for their places in government or diplomatic jobs. The Proverbs are beautiful in how they invoke the character of wisdom, the feminine aspect of God that unifies and perfects reality. They also have some challenging elements in how they invoke a figure called the strange woman. The strange woman is someone to be watched out for, someone who may draw you in the wrong direction, including away from your schooling. When we get to the very end of Proverbs, though, we find the chapter that Kara just read. Here, this picture of the strange woman is balanced out by the portrait of the woman the sages do recommend. This affluent, industrious, and wise woman is not merely a capable wife. Rather, she is a strong woman, a woman of substance and wealth. She provides food, prosperity, and security. She makes immense contributions to the agriculturally based community of which she is part. She exemplifies and personifies the wisdom teachings and their benefits because she isn't merely wealthy, but also exercises compassionate care for others. She invokes the law of kindness and covenant love, extending her hand to the needy, laughing, and teaching. She loves God and upholds God's covenant love in community. Now, this is a remarkable portrait of a woman, one that redeems the image of the strange, dangerous woman from the first few chapters of Proverbs. The woman in this chapter has been held up as an exemplar and as a store of excellence. Her inclusion at the conclusion of this book of the Bible and her linkage with wisdom, that is, wisdom with a capital W, who is the feminine aspect of God. Her linkage with wisdom from the first few chapters of Proverbs provides a powerful message in a patriarchal society about the importance of women and their contributions to society. Her activities, her caring for her community, and her strength are theologically validated by the language in the chapter, which gives it additional weight. However, as you may have noticed, the portrait's also problematic. The woman's worth is measured by her husband and the goods and wealth that she brings into the estate. Her contributions and wealth reflect back to her husband. She is a composite of the economic and familial activities of many elite women in the Persian and Hellenistic empires. She isn't just one person. And because of this, she is a superwoman. She has privilege and power at the beginning and throughout the chapter, which gives her certain advantages that most women do not have. She is exemplary, but she also represents something that is unattainable for most of us because of limited time and financial resources. As a result, many people who have this image held up as a model, which I know some of you have experienced, view her with very mixed feelings, to say the least. She validates the importance of women's contributions, showing that they're important for the entire community. Yet, if one person is told or believes that they ought to be all that this woman is said to personify, that person will never measure up. She presents us with many messages and a lot of questions about how to interpret or understand her. One of them is about how we value or measure people's worth, and one of them is about time, where we attend to it, how we spend it, and what we think or what society thinks that says about our worth. Many of us struggle with these questions, particularly in this society where we get many, many mixed messages over and over from different sources, and particularly in a society that encourages us to be everything, to be perfect, that often tells us that we'll be valued and that we'll be valued and even loved based on being everything, that tells us that rest is wasteful or weak. But what opportunities do we miss when we try to be perfect, when we try to be everything? This message cuts deeper and harsher for some in our society, particularly for women and people of color, and it has different flavors or tones depending on how we're perceived by society. And so, I'll ask you, what messages do you listen to about what it means to measure up? Are they realistic? And do they honor all of you and your values? How do they reflect the fact that you are an embodied being, that you have a body with limits and needs? The messages that we listen to and how we compare ourselves to them can be healthy fuel for clarifying and living our values, and they can also inhibit our spiritual growth and be psychologically damaging. These messages will be different for all of us, but it's worth asking, what does it mean to you to be enough? Is what immediately comes to you what you want to believe based on your values? So I'm going to invite you to an activity to reflect on and share what it means to you to be enough, an activity that will evolve and develop through the course of the rest of this service. What it means to be enough when you're connected with your values, your truest self, and our collective values, the things that truly nourish our communities and congregations and help each and all of us flourish. When you came in, hopefully you received a drawing of a flower. You picked one up. If you didn't, you can raise your hand and hopefully an usher can bring you one. Now, at the bottom, you'll see soil with roots, as well as a stem. If you're at home, you can create a simple drawing of a flower and work along with us, or simply notice what comes up for you as we work on this together over the next half hour. Now, as you think about the soil underneath this plant, I ask you to reflect on this question. What are some of the values of your communities that nourish your roots? And then as you notice the stem, I ask you to reflect on this question. What are some of your own values that guide you to discern what it is to be enough, to be of value? So community values and your values that help you connect. There's a table up here if you want to work here. There are also colors that you can use up here. So we're going to move into our time of joys and sorrows, but first, let's share a brief time of silence. During it, I invite you to let these questions settle into you. And as you find those values that guide you, as you discern what guides you in knowing what it is to actually be enough, I invite you to write your values on the soil and on the stem. Deb, there are some folks over here on this side, if you can. Thank you. So you might find those values during this silence, as we share in joys and sorrows, or as we move deeper into the service. And so, as we move deeper into this service, I invite you to continue to reflect and write.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Fanny Carver. I work Shiva Associate. My pronouns are she and her. I'm a Hispanic woman, about 5 feet tall, with brown curly hair. Today, I'm here to do the float of life, joys and sorrow with you. As we enter into our times of meditation, contemplation, and prayer, we acknowledge the joys and sorrows of our congregation. We do this by dropping stones into the bowl of water, symbolically immersing our personal joys and sorrows into the float of life's joys and sorrows. The water surrounding and holds the stone, just as we surrounded and held by the love and support of this congregation. If you're participating elsewhere, you may wish to meditatively hold a stone, wash your hands, or meditate on an object near you. And now, if you're in the sanctuary, please come forward, take a stone from the basket, and place your stone in the water as we sing, filled with loving kindness. Thank you.
May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease. May you be whole. May we be filled with loving kindness. May we be well. Renewed with loving kindness. May we be well. May we be peaceful and at ease. May we be whole.
The Reverend Sean Parker Dennison writes, I will love you by being brave. I will walk directly into the eye of every storm, push back against the wind that tries to stop my forward motion, and bear the bruises from hailstones that mark my skin. I will love you by being strong. I will lift the weight of 1,000 broken hearts, pull the whole world behind me on a single chain, and break my own shell to grow tender and new. I will love you by being wise. I will close my mouth, open my eyes, my ears, my heart, push aside the obvious, the easy, the darling, and the dead, and begin again and again to know and not know everything of love. I will love you by being weak. I will reveal the tender and the vulnerable, hold myself open, pull off the armor, the exoskeleton, layer by layer, and build nothing in its place. I will love you by being. I will breathe in and out and cherish the beating of my own heart, push back against anything that would suffocate my flame, burn away despair, leave room for more love. I will love you by being weak. I will love you by being wise. I will love you by being strong. I will love you by being brave. I will love you by being. Spirit of life and love, may we love ourselves and each other through the joys and the sorrows, the new beginnings and the losses. May our bodies be sites of and vehicles for liberation, our own and others. And may we move ever deeper into the knowledge of what it means to love ourselves and our communities by being weak, by being wise, being strong, being brave, and by simply being. Amen. Blessed be.
Our second reading is an excerpt from The Gifts of Imperfection by Brené Brown. Perfectionism is not about achievement and growth. Perfectionism is the belief that if we live perfectly, look perfectly, and act perfectly, we can avoid the pain of blame, judgment, and shame. Most perfectionists grew up being praised for achievement and performance in our grades, manners, and appearance. Somewhere along the way, we adopted this dangerous and debilitating belief system. I am what I accomplish, and how well I accomplish it. A ticker tape began to stream through our heads. Please perform perfect. Healthy striving, meanwhile, focuses on you. It occurs when you ask yourself, how can I improve? Perfectionism keeps the focus on others. It occurs when you ask, what will they think? Research, unfortunately, shows that perfectionism hampers success and often leads to depression, anxiety, addiction, and missed opportunities due to fears of putting anything out in the world that could be imperfect or disappoint others. It's a 20-ton shield that we lug around thinking it will protect us, when in fact, it's the thing that's really preventing us from taking flight.
For some of us, or for many of us, concern about being enough can veer over into perfectionism in at least some portion of our lives. Has anyone here ever tried to be the person who never makes mistakes? You can raise your hand, or you can hold that answer in your heart. I know that I've tried, and it is a difficult, grueling, and heartbreaking path because, hey, we're human. Perfectionism, whatever it is that we're trying to be perfect about, denies the deep truth that we are imperfect and in process and limited. It's a reflection of and is embedded in what Sharon Welch calls an unhealthy cultural ethic of control that tells us that we have to be able to achieve our desired ends. We need certainty about what will happen as a result of our actions, and that unless we know all the facts, know what impact our actions will have exactly, and know that our actions will directly lead to our desired result, there is no point in acting. And if we try and don't achieve our desired results, then there's something wrong with us. Now, the problem with this, of course, is that the world is much too complex for that, right? When we try to live in that paradigm of an ethic of control, it denies the complex realities of the world, of many people's lives, of our own lives. It encourages us to inaction and persuading ourselves that inaction is okay, or even better than action. If we can't solve problems, or if we don't know what the impacts of our actions will be, then what's the point? It keeps us stuck. It keeps us from fully living or from taking flight. But our value and worth and dignity are not based on what we accomplish. It seems ridiculous and counter to the ways that we know things should work, because it does run counter to our larger American culture, our paradigm, but we are not only what we accomplish. Yes, action is important, but rejecting an ethic of control, of perfection, of needing to know the result with certainty before we act, of having to fix every problem or every person, of the idea that our value and worth isn't inherent but rather is based on what we can accomplish, is crucial to being able to engage with openness, with what we can call an ethic of risk. We can embrace the deep truth that we are imperfect and in process and limited instead of pushing it away. If we can do that, what blessings might we find? What might come from affirming that we are finite, knowing that we are in process? What gifts may come with moving out of control or perfection and into risk? Now, while it's tempting to simply try to create a new way of being, and while this is often what we do, we also have to shed old ideas and values that are no longer serving us in order to create and fully embrace something new. We have to process what those things are, how we are changing, and often, in order to let go of them, we need to mourn those old ideas that no longer support us on our journey. And this brings us back to our art project. We're constantly letting go of things in our life in order to create more space for new life, new possibility to emerge. So that we can become more of who it is that we're in the process of becoming. And so it is with plants. With leaves and other bits that fall from plants as they grow and as they move through the seasons. And when we let go of things that no longer serve us, they don't just disappear. They had value in our lives, and what they were can become part of the cycle of life. And so it is with leaves and other little bits of things that fall from plants. As we can observe happening in nature out there right now, fallen leaves decompose and become part of the soil. Thus, the things that once nourished us, that once were part of us, continue on in the world, even though we no longer need or can use them in the same way we once did. And so I ask you, what unhelpful messages or ideas about being enough are you shedding? Let's share a brief time of silence during which you might write some of those things on the surface of the ground, where they are decomposing and coming back into the cycle of life. So what are some unhelpful messages about being enough that you are shedding? Now that you've had a brief time to maybe notice some of those unhelpful messages, whether you've been able to write them down or not, those things that you're shedding or are in the process of shedding, let's take a moment to shake it out a little bit. If it's available to you, you might want to rise, or you can stay seated, and then mindful of the people around you, you can shake your hands, you can just shake your arms. We're just going to shake out some of those things we're letting go of, right? Sometimes it kind of helps to let go of them, to truly, you might shake your legs, you might shake your whole body. As you let go of those unhelpful messages. Thanks for shaking it out. So now that we've done that, helping ourselves shed those unhelpful messages about being enough, what do we replace an ethic of perfectionism and control with? How can we help ourselves and our communities hold space for taking chances, making mistakes, accepting and lamenting them? How do we hold space for complexity, for multiple right paths? What do we replace the idea that our value, our dignity, our worth is based solely with? What do we replace the idea that our value, our dignity, our worth is based solely on what we accomplish? With what do we replace the societal ideas that we have to be more, be perfect, measure ourselves and our worth against others if we are to be enough? Do we replace those with complacency? Probably not. With ideas that we need to do nothing or nothing different? Do we withdraw? Or do we lean into healthy striving combined with discernment of where our values are calling us? Interestingly, it can be easy to take complacency or withdrawal from the world as answers that fit for us if we take some of our principles or values without holding them together in creative tension, without noticing how our values call us to actively engage with the world. But our values of interdependence, of equity, transformation, pluralism, generosity, and justice, all rooted in a deep, fierce love, they call us into ways of being that are more connected with ourselves and our communities, even as we hold space for rest and the knowledge that our value is not based on what we accomplish. Our values, when held together in creative tension, are one place to go for something more life-affirming, more connected, more whole. All of this can help us embrace curiosity and an ethic of risk, love, and justice. All of this can help us find more life-affirming ways of asking and answering what it means to be enough, what we want to do with our beautiful, beloved, and precious lives. And this brings us back to our flower. And so, thinking about your flower, that little top part, for yourself, in this congregation or outside of it, what do you hope is coming into being or will emerge? How do you want to embrace life? Your answers may be large and grand or small and intimate. They may be about family, about personal goals, about your community, about justice, about love, about your spiritual journey. I could keep going, but I won't. There aren't any right or wrong answers about what we hope to emerge as we think about what it means to be and to be enough. These are the hopes and ways of being in the world that are coming to you. You'll also notice there are leaves attached to your flower stem. These leaves are for the things that nourish you, that help you collect the energy you need on your journey, that help you remain connected to what's important. So let's share a final brief time of silence during which you might write some of the things that you hope will come into being for you on your flower and some of the things that nourish you on your leaves. And so after the service, if you wish, you can add your flower to the popsicle stick heart flowers on the windows to share it with the rest of the congregation, or you can take it home. For we each learn from each other, and we each need our own reminders. And so may all of us find more life-affirming, more loving, and more just ways to be in the world, to be with one another, to be enough. So may it be. Blessed be. Amen.
Now we're going to do the offering. How we give, what we do with our lives, our time, and our resources is a reflection of our values. In response to the abundance we are blessed with, every week this congregation donates generously to organizations in the community whose work aligns with our values and principles. Today, we're collecting our 5th Sunday offering for the community party agency, the Healthy Kids Clinic, with Margaret Oding talked about earlier in the service. Healthy Kids is a community-based free medical clinic that works collaboratively with local medical partners to provide primary care, mental health care, and access to specialty care for underserved and uninsured children. In the sanctuary, the ushers will collect the offering. All cash contributions go directly to our partner community, to our community partner agency, in addition to assisting our community partner. You might contribute towards your pledge to our society or contribute to the congregation to provide additional support for our operating expenses. You may also contribute by check using the memo line to designate the purpose, or you may give electronically by following the link shown on the screen or through Realm. The offering is a sign of commitment to this free congregation, which is completely supported by the generosity of all who join with us. As we give and receive the offering, may we be transformed by our giving, and may the world be transformed by our gifts. Thank you.
May what has been shared today help us more fully affirm our interconnection and live into love and justice. Immediately following the service, we will have time for all to join in conversation and community. If you are online, a link to our Zoom coffee hour is being dropped into the chat. If you're in person, we gather in the fellowship hall for conversation. We have questions that we can discuss, so you might want to talk about these during coffee hour. These questions are: what are you learning about what it means to be enough? What helps you find nourishment to move into risk and change as you practice new ways of being enough? And now, to close our service today, we will sing hymn number 1053 from the blue hymnal. Please rise in body and spirit as you are able.
How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul.
Please join me in the words for extinguishing the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. All these we carry in our hearts and in our minds until we are together again.
As you move into the day and the week ahead, may you lean a little more into letting go of perfectionism, of that ethic of control. And may you help the others in your life lean a little further into an ethic of risk, into new ways of becoming, of being. Go in peace, love, and justice, living love ever more fully and fiercely into this world. Amen, and blessed, blessed be.
Amen. Let it be so. Amen. Let it be so. Amen. Let it be so. Amen. Let it be so.